Hello, this video is about the Simgot EA500. It's been getting a lot of praise, so I just wanted to throw another opinion out there. Hopefully help some potential buyers in their decision making. I'm going to try to keep this as brief as possible. Mind you, this is my third attempt, and every time I go well past the 30-minute mark, I'm trying to make it something where it has some structure, so hopefully it will work out this time. Anyway, here's the box. I'm not going to show the unboxing. It's a big box. It was nicely packaged. In my opinion, it was overly packaged. A lot of empty space. This box could have been half the size and had much less waste. Alright. Here's the IEM. This is the Simgot EA500. It's a very pretty IEM. I believe they claim it is like aluminum with a mirror plating. At least that's what I remember reading. However, it's a heavy IEM. I honestly think it's a polished stainless steel. Like it's heavier than the Dioko, which is aluminum. Nice thick piece of glass, and it's just massive. Yet the A500 is noticeably heavier. So the unique thing about the EA500 are these two graphs. You get two nozzles. You get a black nozzle and a red nozzle. The red nozzle is what is installed right out the box. There's no filtering in the nozzle. It's just basically an empty nozzle for a tip to get attached to. The other nozzle has the black rubber band, and it has this black acoustic foam. Let's see if I can. Alright, I do have it here. See if I can show one. This is kind of the annoying part. They literally put one bag for each nozzle. But anyway, let's see if you can see that. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a black foam in the tip, and it really subdues the bass. For me, it ruins the sound completely. Like, you lose the separation, you lose the soundstage, you get a graininess. I don't know. I would personally like to see these just made with the red tip, or give us different foams to stuff in one of these so we can try other things, because I don't know. I can't see why anybody would bother, because it doesn't do anything better than just the stock tip. It even makes it seem like the driver's struggling, whereas the stock tip that has nothing in it. I don't know if you can see that, but it's empty. The stock tip makes the driver feel like it can do anything without even breaking a sweat. So, I don't know. I would like to see either just built like this, lower the price, make the box smaller. You get this in the $60 range, and you just got yourself an IEM that has no competition. Like, at that price, every argument I have for everything else I have up here just goes away. The graph doesn't even look that bad, and it really wouldn't be that bad. I could see the use case for this frequency graph if it maintained the same quality as what you get when using this nozzle up here. A lot of it's so clear and clean and quick without that filtering. With the filtering, grainy, congested, still good. Like, quality wise of the sound, like this, I would compare it to the T3 Plus. And this used to be my starting point, what I would recommend as a starting point for anybody looking for a quality, affordable IEM. Like this, I've had the Alina SE, all these, bunch of other sets, and the T3 Plus has always been my choice for me. Like, good separation, good bass, a great tuning in my opinion, good separation, acceptable soundstage, just a hint of graininess that you probably won't even notice unless you hear something that doesn't have it. Like this Dialco doesn't have it. This is $100 IEM. And as far as technicalities, I would argue this is the EA500 is equally as good. It's possible it's even better just because of the space between instruments. It's so defined. Like some IEMs sound like there's a vacuum between stuff. Some sounds like there's air between stuff. Like it literally sounds like empty space. Like it's hard to explain. None of that probably makes sense. It's so hard to explain. But there's just a cleanliness and quality to the sound of this when using the nozzle with the red tip or the red ring. Now, amongst all these, it's like we're talking $30 to $100. And there's arguments that can be made for most of these, especially with these at $80. Like, for instance, the OH2 here, I paid $30 for these. If you're looking to save money, I mean, I could understand, okay, well, catch these on sale if you can get them for $30. You can get, it's so close to this with these at $30. This is the best bargain I think I may have ever had in the IEM world. I've had some good bargains with headphones, but mainly due to like clearance sales. Quite possibly that could be why I got this for $30, because it was marked down $59.99, then 50% off. So I got these for $30, and these have a quality to their sound. Like when fit properly, they are so finicky with fit. Like if you like some of the reviews on Amazon even say, oh, they sound like they're open back headphones. They don't give you the soundstage open back, but they have that open back sound, the way they let stuff in. But they claim they have a seal. If you're getting an open back sound, you don't have a seal. Like even with the stock silicone tips, they do block out a decent amount of sound. Like you know when they're sealed, and everything about the sound changes. Like the congested, like it sounds congested, the bass sounds missing and flabby when it's not properly sealed. But when you get a good seal, and for me, I had to use smaller than usual tips, and these foams seem to work the best. These foams that came with it, with the rubber, seem to work the best. It added a nice separation to everything. It gave bass much more power, much more control. It's still a little soft, but the detail in the bass is astonishing, actually. It doesn't have the tactile feel that most of these others have, especially the EA500, but it has like a noticeable tonal difference. Like every frequency down in the bass range has a unique sound to it. Like you can hear it change. There's no hint of that one noteness you can get with some stuff. Like you get it a little bit with the what is it, Truth Ear Zero. You get it a little bit with the Melee, although Melee's impressive, man. I wish they still made that. Although everything else is kind of catching up, it's just the frequency response of the Melee that I wish they kept it around. CA1200, again, probably similar to the Melee with that one noteness. Like, don't get me wrong, compared to other stuff in this price range, these things don't necessarily have the one noteness on the level of some of those other things that I recommend these over. But compared to the OH2, the EA500, the Dialco, even the T3 Plus has more of a one noteness sound in the bass, sub bass than these three. And that, I would argue, is better than these up here, as far as that. Matter of fact, forgive me, the Celeste has pretty impressive bass too. That square driver, it's very interesting. It's actually kind of reminiscent of how this does bass, unique sounds and all that. A little slow, a little soft, but a lot of impact and detail there, just not texture. So, like, there's definitely arguments, but this, it's kind of hard to explain. Like, I would argue, okay, this is possibly Sennheiser HD 600, 650-ish type sound. Like, it's certainly mid-centric, but the smoothness, there's a smoothness and quality to the sound these has. The EA500 has this smoothness and quality to the sound. It's more analyticalness, has much more, it sounds almost like a planer, like it sounds quicker than the Dialco, sounds equally as quick as the S12. I'm trying to think back to the Timeless. I don't own the Timeless anymore, but I'd argue it's probably as quick, if not quicker than that as well. Like, this would be like a focal headphone to me. Like, this feels like an IEM version of the Focal Clear. Maybe Focal Clear more than the Clear. It kind of has a little more body than my Clears have. Like, it's impressive for the price, $80. I mean, I can't do anything but praise it. I do wish it had better packaging, better accessories. I'm not the biggest fan of this cable. I do want to discuss the cable for a second, because they claim silver plating, but yet it's a 2-strand cable. Okay, so if it's silver plated, why isn't the ground and positive shorted out with 2 bare wires lying against each other in this 1 strand here? Okay, it's only a 2-strand cable, 1 strand left, 1 strand right, both with 2 wires in it. Got the ground positive. Why aren't they shorted against each other? How's it working if that really is silver plating? So silver is obviously conductive. That's why they want to use it for cables. So how are they getting away with it? I know those even cheap earbuds, they have a blue wire, red wire. It's like an enamel or maybe an aluminum oxide coating on them. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but you'll see a bare copper wire, a blue colored wire that looks like bare copper, but it's blue colored, and then a red colored wire. And that coating prevents the wires from shorting against each other. Now, this OH2 cable claims to have silver plating. And maybe, I don't know if you can see, but it has like the silver plated wire, or the so-called silver plated wire by itself, but it also has other strands of wire separated, covered in blue and red stuff. I don't know if it's like silicone covered wire on these ones, but at least the ground is separated from the positive. So there's possibly a chance of this actually being silver plated. Somehow in this, we're supposed to pretend that they went through the effort of silver plating this wire and then adding a silver colored version of the plating they use for those other IEMs, like what's red and blue here, those budget earbuds, so they're not short. I'm sorry, but I don't see these Chinese companies going through all those steps, especially to make something in this price range. I'm sorry, I can't see it. And like these, it's supposed to be some aluminum with a mirror finish. I don't know. I really think it's some sort of steel. Kind of wish I had a magnet next to me to kind of see if it's magnetic. I really wish I would have thought of that to begin with, but it's kind of something that's just now dawning on me. Let's see, I might actually have a magnet over here. Let's see. Oh, this isn't going to end well. I do have a magnet, but a bunch of screws stuck to it. Well, I don't know. It's not magnetic. I mean, it doesn't mean it's not steel, though. I don't know. I could be very wrong. I just know these things are very heavy in comparison to everything else here, even these that I question whether or not it's actually aluminum. But anyway, back to the sound. These are like focal IEMs, even seem to have the tuning of them. Like how they were considered like super HD 600s or whatever. That's kind of like the impression you get from this. Well balanced, everything is beautifully smooth, but super clean, like shockingly analytical for the price while still being fun and pleasurable to listen to. It's incredible. It's kind of like what I would expect from, let's say, taking the T3 Plus and combining the best features of this with the best features of a decent budget planner IEM. Like, that's what these feel like. It's hard to explain because it's more quality of the sound, less tuning. Like, we've all heard this tuning before in other IEMs. Like, it's, quite frankly, it's almost, you could argue the tuning isn't too much different than what you would get from this. Like, it has that clean, almost dry sound, but it doesn't have the graininess this has. Obviously, it doesn't have some of the sub-bass extension this has, but it has much more impact. Like, this is supposed to have a subwoofer, a driver just for bass, but yet the punch the EA500 has is so much more. It doesn't rumble super deep and take long to decay. It's just a quick hit, and you feel it every time. It's more tactile than anything I have sitting up here. It absolutely lives up to the praise. What else can I talk about the sound before this gets too long? Soundstage again, probably on par with everything up here. I do think the Dialco is wider, but these have more depth, and the layering, I would argue, is better. Like, there's more of a 3D type effect. It's not exactly holographic or anything, but it is much closer to anything else up here. And while this has great separation and a nice wide soundstage, it has no depth to it. There's nothing on, like, in front of or behind anything else. It's just this flat plane. Whereas this, you're kind of in this little bubble. It's not big, but there's spaces everywhere, and you get everything in between. I can't recommend these enough at the price. I hope to see them get even cheaper or offer more nozzle options. I mean, hell, you could probably play around them yourself. I'm sure that foam pulls out extremely easy because you really, personally, I don't see any use for these. So it would be worth pulling the foam out, experimenting with other stuff, seeing what you can do. But this driver, with nothing in front of it, reproduces audio effortlessly. Like, it's so crisp, clean, detailed. It's shocking for the price. I mean, the detail of this is right up there. The OH10 was one of my favorites. Unfortunately, the left side broke on me, but I love that set. It had great detail and just great bass. But now having this, I paid $160 plus tax for this. I paid less than half for these, and the detail is comparable. I would argue this is a more refined sound, a more quality, enjoyable listen than the OH10. It's crazy that I'm saying this out loud at the moment, because I love that set, and I was so set on buying another pair. But after having these for the past couple weeks, I don't know. I really don't know if it's worth wasting the money anymore, because it's not like the OH10 had this unique tuning that presents music in a special way. Like, for instance, this OH2 does, the Dialco, like, it's tuned like other stuff I have. It's just the quality of the stuff. But now this has the quality that has, possibly even more. Like, it's definitely a cleaner, more natural, smoother sound while still keeping all the details. I'm going to stop now because this is a must buy. If you're willing to spend up to $80, get these. I don't care, even if it's your first pair and that's right. Get the EA500. If there's something you don't like, if you feel, okay, I just want big, warm, stinky bass, okay, well, at least you have a nice balanced starting point. Like for me, these are extremely transparent, although I don't know if they scale with gear as much, like they always just sound quality and impressive. I do notice though with higher impedance cables, it does start messing with the sound. These are 16 ohms, so you do kind of want stuff. You want gear that has a low output impedance. You want cables. Like my rule of thumb with cables is you kind of want to be at 5% or lower of the impedance of the driver it is. So if you're 16 ohm, you'll definitely want to be 0.7 or half a ohm impedance for your cable. 32 ohm, you'll be fine with 1 ohm and below. It's just once you start getting a little bit above like 600 ohm headphones, you're fine with a cable that has a couple ohms. It's not going to change too much, but the lower the impedance of the driver, the more a cable and its impedance can change the sound. So do keep that in mind. It's not like, oh, the quality of the cable is making these differences. It's generally down to the combination of the driver and the impedance of the cable. Some stock cables will be an ohm and a half. Some will be less than a half ohm. So that does play a little bit of impact, but it's not this magical cable thing that some people try to talk about. So start with the A500. I highly doubt you'd be disappointed. It absolutely lives up to the hype it's been getting. I mean, there's so much more I'd like to talk about, but this is already long. So I'm just going to leave it as is. This may be the highest quality sound you can get at this price. It feels like the focal version of an IEM. What you get from the focal Elier, possibly focal clear, that's just like the IEM version of that. It has so many of the same characteristics, the speed and the bass, the tonal balance of it all, the cleanliness, the separation. It's quite impressive. I haven't owned many expensive IEMs, but I would pick this over like the Timeless. Again, like I said, the OH10 definitely over the S12. I just don't see anything better than this currently with the red nozzle. That black nozzle makes it seem like every other sub-$100 IEM out there, if not worse. Still though, if you're willing to use EQ and you want to save a pretty penny, get yourself a OH2 for $30 and you'll get a lot of what you get here, just substantially cheaper and a little different type of fun in the bass, less impact, but a more unique sound to the bass. Like for me, like if I had to, out of everything up here now, if I had to choose 2 IEMs, it would be the OH2. Like as companions, it would be the OH2 and the EA500. If I can keep those two, I would happily get rid of everything else. If I could have a third, I'd probably keep these, bring in the Melee. That would be fun. Just relaxing. Don't want to even think about faults or get anything that's going to potentially give me a headache or anything. Those just for a quality and fun enjoyment, the OH2, and just when I want what the best my music can deliver at a sub-$100 price, it's the EA500. Don't sleep on these. Get them. Hell, they're worth the full price, but even now they're always on sale. Get them. You'll get that quality sound that I don't think has been presented in this price range before. perfectly tuned out the box. You don't have to do any changes or struggle with fit like you do with this. Pop them in, they sound great. Oh, one more note. I do notice, like for instance with the Melee, it has this little, see if you can see that little vent there, right under a tip. Now, if you don't, when that's pressed up against your ear, these get kind of, they lose their detail, they get boomy and stuff, and a little more soft. These have this vent here, and I'm wondering if it's the measurement rig and how it mates against this that makes the sub bass seem more rolled off than it is. Because when I wear them, I don't know if it's because that's close to my ear and the airflow from this vent here gets restricted. I don't know if you guys can even see that, but from that vent there, the airflow gets restricted. And like the bass does get very comparable to the T3 Plus when I'm wearing them. It doesn't sound like it's rolled off like the graph would show, or as lacking as the graph would show. So maybe, I don't know. So I imagine in addition to the tips, like these tips actually for me made a massive difference as well. I don't know if I talked about that, so I am going to talk about it again real quick. These tips, short stem, wide bore, like they're sibilant with the black nozzle, and they still have a hint of that sibilance with the red nozzle and stock tips. It's not painful. It's not even really fatiguing, but you hear like the S's and stuff get dragged on, whereas when I switched to these tips, shorter nozzle, wider bore, that last remaining characteristics of sibilance vanished. Like now everything sounds natural, like it should. Nothing gets dragged on. It, for me, these tips and how they fit me sound just nearly as close to perfect as I can think. Like I would maybe like a touch more warmth, but it's already so smooth, detailed, separated. Like for $80, probably be greedy asking for more. Like this is what we're getting at the start of 2023. I can't imagine what we're going to be getting at the end. Like it's hard for me to even think that they can get much better than this. Like as far as details and stuff, maybe they can change the frequency graph of it, of the way it's tuned a little bit, maybe a little warmer while still keeping some of the details and stuff. But I don't know how they can evolve past this in this price range, at least within this year. I hope it happens. It's crazy what they're doing with this Chinese audio now. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hopefully that helped somebody. I'm sorry for kind of the rambling and the lost thoughts. I'm also listening to the MMA fight with John Jones, and spoiler alert, fucking crushed the guy in the first round. Not at all what I expected, so that kind of messed me up here a bit. But anyway, thank you for watching. Please leave a thumbs up. Hope this helps you make a educated purchase. All these here are good, but this is a standout, and these are possibly the best bargain in IEMs is currently, in budget IEMs. Anyway, all right, thank you again.